It was 9 days before my grandma touched heaven when I witnessed God's promise in physical form. My grandma had been battling peritoneal cancer for around 3 to 4 years, and her life was nearing an end. And I was laying down with her in her room. She was in her last days, and I was stroking her short, white, brittle hair, reminding her of God's promises. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this rainbow hit her face, and it was reflected from the door. And I was like in shock. It's like, oh my gosh, out of nowhere, this rainbow. And so I take a picture of it, and I show it to her. And all she could form was this half smile. And it sparked so much joy within me. And 4 months later, I was with my best friend watching a movie, and I was laying down. And he goes, don't move. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's literally a spider on my head. Like, I was freaking out. And he snaps his picture. And I'm like, why would you snap a picture when there's a spider on my head? Like, at least kill it. Like, if you're my friend, kill the spider on my head. And so he flips the phone over. And I bet you guys can guess what was reflected on my face. It was a rainbow. And it was reflecting from the front door. And the first thought that came to mind was, oh my goodness, my grandma is speaking to me from heaven. And little did I know that that was just the beginning. Let's transition to move-in day at Pepperdine University. I'm a freshman. I'm super excited. I moved in all my stuff. And the last thing I have to open is this gift that I got back in June for my birthday that I just never opened for some reason. Obviously, God had a plan for that. And I open it, and it's this beautiful 3D glass heart with the carving of my grandma and I in it. So I set it on my desk in the corner, and I move on about my day. And 2 days pass, and my roommate and I are coming home from an NSO event. And she walks into the door first, and she casually, not knowing the story of these rainbows, casually goes, Lexi, there's a rainbow reflecting on your bright white bedspread. I'm like, what? I walk towards it, trying to find the source of this rainbow, and I begin to see it's a reflection from that 3D glass heart with a picture of my grandma and I in it. I was amazed, telling her why this was significant, and her eyes widened in amazement, as wide as her cheeks. So, of course, I grabbed my phone to document it, as I do with all of my other rainbow stories. And this becomes a topic of discussions in my life. First, with my mom and dad, I created a group chat that talks about all these rare rainbow occurrences. I have a group of friends who one day came over and sat down on my carpet and listened to the story like kindergartners with a teacher in amazement of this rainbow story. And then I even said it to a stranger one day at one of our Pepperdine events. He was a senior, and he was also amazed. But it didn't stop there. I was already amazed, and I wasn't in need of any more occurrences to know that God was speaking to me, my grandma was speaking to me through these rainbows. But little did I know that 2 days ago from today, God revealed himself again through my grandma, and it was another glimmer of hope. Let me set the scene. It's a Wednesday afternoon. As I explained to you earlier, I'm extremely tired from no sleep and all these exams. And I'm in the bathroom, and I'm cleaning bowls as my form of therapy. I have my old pajamas on with holes in them. I'm just like totally relaxing for the little bit of time I had. And my roommate's next to me getting ready for a hot date. You know, she's getting her hair done, doing all that. And out of nowhere, I sniff something in the air. And I'm like, what is this smell? And it instantly takes me back to my grandma's beauty shop, where she would cut hair, and I would watch her cut hair. And so I'm sniffing the air, like how a dog sniffs bacon in the kitchen, just like, you know, like really excited. I'm like, what is this smell? And I tell my roommate what's going on. She goes, wait. And she runs back to the dorm. She grabs this fragrance mist, walks back into the bathroom, and shows me it. She's like holding it just like this. And I'm reading it, and it says Saltwater Breeze, Bath and Body Works, like extravagant name. And I'm thinking in my head, how does this young smell resemble my 70-year-old grandmother? How? I'm looking at it in amazement, and she turns it at the perfect angle, and I bet you can guess what the reflection of the material brought about. These mini rainbows. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we're in shock. So I grab my phone, come back in, and do what I do best. I vlog this beautiful, never-ending cliffhanger of my grandma speaking to me. Now, the craziest part of this whole story is that Austin didn't know before our last speech. He actually sent a picture in the group chat with the picture of a rainbow, and it said, this is a sign we're going to do amazing today. And you all know what followed this, this message was a lot of laughter, a lot of sweating, and a lot of wide eyes. And I believe this was my grandma's way of making me laugh. And this is what I want to tell you all. I hope that one day you find a rainbow. That one thing in your life that comes after a storm, that with the perfect words. And I hope you know that for me, a rainbow is God's promise that He will not only never flood the earth, but also to my grandma that she's up in heaven and that she's safe and that she's okay. And the next time you think of a rainbow in your life, you see it and you think of this story, I hope you're reminded that rainbows have no end, just like my grandma's eternal life in heaven.